51 without power. And then St. Francis County, 6 customers without power. And I'm keeping an eye as you're tracking these storms going through East Arkansas right now. And the power outages are just not ticking up at this point. I did want to mention MLGW outages, getting a lot of questions from folks who live in Memphis and Shelby County if this is moving toward the metro. They're very curious if this weather is moving toward the metro. 1,200 MLGW customers without power. That just ticked up from about 1,000 a couple minutes ago. So is it windy out there right now? Are we seeing some gusts as this weather heads this way?
Yeah, it is, Joyce. And let me show you, Adam, if you'll put the map behind me. This is what we're watching that is likely going to move through the Memphis metro along and west of 55. So everybody in the 240 loop from Midtown to downtown into Fraser, Raleigh, possibly even as far east as Bartlett, we're likely going to see that come through, and there's some pretty good wind in there. But in the time that we were talking to you, Joyce, or that you were telling us about the power outages there, we had another tornado warning issued. Spencer was focused on the tornado or the wind in Tunica County. That's now moved on out and crossed the river. We still have a warning there, but now a new warning that popped up just moments ago for another area we were looking at. And Spencer, I think you've got a good view of it. We had that shear marker, and the moment we got off of that and started talking to JP, then we get the warning.
Yeah, and this one looks pretty substantial. It's a very tight rotation, and these are some of the areas that will be impacted. This includes Hickory Ridge. If you are in Beadville, Algoa, Blackville, Balch, Stringers Mill, that's all within the next 20 minutes. So the next 20 minutes, those are the areas that will be impacted. The BTI right now is 3.4. Again, that's in this type of event, that's substantial enough. We're not going to see that BTI number. Of course, it's a scale of 1 to 10, but we are not going to see that at a 7, 8, or 9 like we would in the springtime. With this type of system, a 3 or a 4 is indicating enough rotation that there could be a weak storm. And this is the area that we're talking about. And I'll take all this off the map so you can get a better view of it and just see where we're talking about. So here's Memphis back here to the east, and this storm is about 52 miles west of Memphis as the crow flies. So this is the area in western parts of Cross County. So we're tracking that storm that's just west of Cherry Valley, northwest of Wynn. And then we're also tracking this storm that's crossing over the river that does have some rotation now moving. It's in a bend in the Mississippi River right now, and it's moving towards Shenandoah, Winona, Hughes, Arkansas. This is along Highway 79. So if you're in any of those areas, you need to be in your safe place until that storm passes. But the storm in western Cross County looks much more, it looks stronger to me because, and you can see we have 2 shear markers now that are showing up within that cell. So definitely showing good signs of rotation. Let me go in and look real quick. I want to query this and see what the winds look like with this 60 miles per hour, 22 on the other side. Let's go to the storm relative. Yeah, so there's definitely some rotation within this storm here. So this is moving toward Hickory Ridge along Highway 49. If you are along anywhere in this area between Tilton and Highway 49 in western Cross County, you need to stay in your safe place until that storm passes. But Ron, 2 different areas that we are watching right now, and that one really looks. Look at the hook.
Yeah, that's a little more ominous, isn't it?
Yeah, you can definitely tell, and I can draw it, but look at that. It's right there. It's just all this is whipping around into that storm.
Wow, and that's exactly what happens as this whole thing moves north, and then the winds are at the surface are coming out of the southeast to the northwest, so it creates that little hook that we're seeing right there. We've got a lot of questions on our Facebook and social media platforms, people wondering what's going on in the Memphis metro. So we've got the tornado warning back to the west for eastern Arkansas. We've got the other one that is now still in effect for a portion of Tunica County, but primarily for Lee and St. Francis counties. But I want to show you this line that's just to the south. Adam, if you can take my radar, please, and take me over to Max and let me put a track on that band that is just to the west of the Mississippi River, because that is basically tracking to the northwest, and I think that band is likely going to clip the Memphis Metro. So I'm going to do a couple of tracks on this. I'm going to track the leading edge. That's this portion right here because it is moving in that direction. So Trinity about 8 minutes away, 23 minutes from Horseshoe Lake, 37 minutes from Hughes, about 16 minutes before it moves into West Memphis. Marion in 68 minutes, about 84 minutes from Parkin, 103 minutes from Tyronza, and we're looking at it being over just an hour and a half from Mark Tree, Arkansas. But this whole line has the potential to move on into the Memphis Metro within the next few minutes, as this kind of just makes a swing to the northwest. So we could see this moving into the Memphis area within the next 90 minutes, 90 to 91 minutes. Senatobia about 15 minutes away, 30 minutes before Tunica, and Tunica's already dealing with some portion of this system itself, but this next wave or this next band likely to move in then. South Haven's just over an hour away, and then Earl, Arkansas, about 110 minutes away. So we're looking at just over a little under 2 hours from getting into Earl, Turl, and Mark Tree, Arkansas. So these are the times of that portion of the cell itself. I want to clear this out and just take a quick look at the winds in there, because right now we're not seeing any significant rotation in there, but that's not to say that we won't, because that is moving into what we call a highly sheared environment. We saw this activity that popped up in Tunica County, and that's not to say that we can't see more of that popping up into are developing within that line as it moves to the north and to the northwest. So right now, that's the area that we are focusing on. That's what's likely to clip the Memphis Metro. And as far as any significant rotation, not seeing it in there right now. That's good news. What about wind speeds in there? Estimated wind speeds of about 20 to 40 miles per hour. I know it says negative, but those are winds that's just basically the way the radar interprets that. But that is anywhere from about 20 to 40, 45 mile per hour winds at about 3,000 feet on that. So that's what we're looking at moving towards the Memphis Metro. We want to keep a close eye on that, but we've got a lot of activity right now. Eastern Arkansas has been the hot zone. And am I looking at, let's see what I'm seeing now, because yeah, we still have the 2 tornado warnings. What do you got, Spencer?
Look at this. BTI on this storm in Western Cross County, 6.6 right now.
Throw that up there on links, will you, Adam?
This cell looks very substantial now.
That's exactly what you were looking at just a moment ago. This is the area right here. That's what, there we go. Spencer, I'm going to let you point that out. 6.6, the Barron tornado indicator. Remember I mentioned earlier, the closer we get to 10, the more likely there's a tornado. That's certainly showing some indication of it. Yeah,
that's definitely substantial. And it was a very tight rotation just a couple of minutes ago. And these storms, they ramp up. And let me just take all this off so that you can get a better view of this. Let me turn this off and let me take that down. And let's just zoom into this. This is the rotation right here. And it's it doesn't look quite as ominous as it did before, but it's definitely crossed over I-49, Highway 49. Let me go to the, let me look at the debris signature on this real quick and see what we're looking at as far as possible debris, because there may have been something with that here just a little bit ago. Here we go. And let's go back in time and see if we can, the last 30 minutes, see if we see anything. So yeah, there's a little bit, but not, I think these go up and down so quick, I don't know that you're going to see it's really hard for it to pick up on that because it's moving through at such a fast rate. Yeah. So, but they're definitely, the folks in this area, especially now into Poinsett County, they've extended this. You need to stay in your safe place until this passes. Let me put a track on this real quick and show you what we're talking about. This is the storm right here. So this is the cell. It's moving at about 30 miles per hour. So some of the areas that will be impacted include Balch and Algoa. Here in the next little bit, it'll go just to the west of Brushy Lake. So if you're in these areas, again, we're in western Cross County. So let me zoom back out so you can get a better idea of where we're talking about here. So Memphis is just down to the south and to the east. So here is Memphis. And these are the storms that we're looking at in western portions of Cross County and southwestern, heading into southwestern Poinsett County. We're also watching this cell in portions of that moved out of Tunica County and is now moving to the north and to the west. And this one is going through, moving into St. Francis County. It's clipping parts of Phillips County, or rather Lee County, and then moving into St. Francis County. So we're watching a couple of different areas here. And again, if you are in Memphis, these storms are moving to your west, but then you've also got storms like Ron mentioned before that are going to come out of the south that we'll have to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and that little line right there, Spencer, that has the potential to swing out a little farther to the east and then make the move to the west. It is really just starting to develop. And as you put that into motion, notice it's getting a little closer to 55. Yeah, it's starting to expand out a little farther to the east. And that's because, again, it's wrapping around the circulation from the low pressure system, the remnants of Laura, as they're moving through northern or southern Arkansas right now. I got to tell you, it's going to take a while before this moves on out of the mid-south. We're going to be dealing with this throughout the rest of the evening into the overnight hours. So I want everybody to make sure they have a method of receiving warnings overnight tonight, because we could have tornado warnings issued while you're asleep later on tonight. The focus will shift into northeastern Arkansas after midnight, northeastern Arkansas and into northwest Tennessee. Memphis still included in that as well. So I want folks to have a method of getting warnings, something that will alert you, wake you up in the event of tornado warnings being issued. Now, we've seen a lot of these quick spin-ups. This is the most highly sheared environment. In other words, eastern Arkansas from Lee County, Phillips, Lee, St. Francis, Cross, north into Poinsett County. This is the area that is most favorable for tornadic activity this evening. That's where we're seeing the greater amount of shear. We're a little closer to that center of circulation that's coming through Arkansas tonight, and this is where we're likely going to see more areas start to develop. And again, primarily shifting a little farther north of the I-40 corridor as we get into the overnight hours. Now, 6.6 on the BTI scale, the Barron Tornado Indicator. That, again, the closer we get to a 10, that's an indication to us that there will likely be a tornado or could be a tornado on the ground. And really, historically speaking, whenever we see a BTI of 7 to 9, that's an indication of a tornado. Those almost always confirm. So that's what I'm looking at tonight. And that's close to a 7, and that's what we're seeing there. So here's a look at the big picture. Let's take it back to the home view, and let me show everybody what's going on. We've got by the way, for our friends that are in northwest Tennessee, not sure how many folks can see us up there, but we've had a few strong storms that are just to the east of Martin, Tennessee, right around Weakley and Carroll counties. Severe thunderstorm warnings there, no tornado warnings. There's been a lot of lightning in those cells. As a matter of fact, just in this little cell that's moving through there right now, about 109 strikes of lightning. Compared to the larger area to the southwest, no lightning. So the farther away you get from that core, the greater the probability that there will be some lightning in there and gusting winds. But the less likely, well, I don't want to say less likely, but the somewhat slighter tornado threat. This is the area where we're seeing the greatest potential and the greatest threat for tornadoes, and that is in East Arkansas, along and west of the Mississippi River. So right now, we've got 2 active tornado warnings in the WMC Action News 5 coverage area. We've got the tornado warning right now that is in place for a portion of Tunica County, although I think Tunica County for the most part is in the clear. Lee, St. Francis County, that's going to remain until 7:30, about another 5 minutes to go there. And then we've got a tornado warning just to the northwest. That is for Cross and Poinsett County. That's going to go until 7:45 tonight. And it's going to be a long night before all of this finally moves on out, simply because this whole system is going to take a little while to make its way through. But the greater portion of it now lifting north of I-40, shifting that focus north of that area into Cross, Poinsett, Mississippi County. Not seeing much of anything other than some rain in Mississippi County. Craighead County, Jonesboro area, it's going to be a long night for you as well. The potential for more tornadoes. But this is part of that outer band that is all circulating around what is left of Tropical Storm Laura, which is down to the south and still moving through the Action News 5 coverage area. So that's what we're looking at right now. Let's go back to our next rad radar, bring it a little closer to the home view. Go back to our live radar in West Memphis, Arkansas. And these are the cells. I want to go back to this one that's in Tunica County. We're going to put a track on that to see if we're seeing any rotation. And that just doesn't look as impressive as it was earlier. So let's see what the wind is doing in there. Not seeing much of anything in that. Let me put the scope. And what I'm looking at are two different forms of velocity. I'm looking at base velocity, and then I'm looking at storm relative velocity. And that storm relative velocity is taking into account the movement, not just the wind speed and direction, but the wind speed and direction that it is moving, and factoring all of that into the algorithm and the result that we're seeing. There's a little bit of rotation right there around Hughes, Arkansas. Let's put a track on that in the event that, keep hitting draw instead of track. Let's put a track on that because it's moving off to the northwest. So it looks like that'll get into Greasy Corner. It's moving through there right now. Davis School, this is just rotation. All right, so Davis School about 2 minutes away, 12 minutes from Heth. It's going to move through Blackfish in 16 minutes, 20 minutes from Round Pond, 21 minutes from the town of Round Pond Methodist Church about 20 minutes away, and 24 minutes from Riverside Church, and about 27 minutes from Kenton. So that's what I'm seeing there. Let's move this south. Let's take a look at the other warned area that we have just to the west of that. I want to point that out for you. Here it is. This is the warning that is in place until 8 o'clock tonight. And let's see what type of rotation, if any, we're seeing there. And I think this may still be holding together. Yeah, it is. Just to the west of, or east of Beataville. Look at that. Spencer, that's a tight little couplet that's still hanging in there. That's got some significant wind in it too. Let's see here. Wind speeds with this range from 60, you got about 70 miles an hour. 70 mile an hour per hour shear in there, at least close to it. And that, again, also moving to the northwest. That's going to take that out of our coverage area, and that will move that into Cow Lake Church in about a minute. It'll get into Balch in about 9 minutes. So that's what I'm looking at. The two active warnings we have in place, one has about a minute left on it. I do believe we got about 15 minutes left on this one. That line that's west of 55, this little area right here, it looks like it's intensifying, and it is moving a little farther to the west, I do believe, or to the east. Yeah, so that's going to be crossing over into, let's put a little track on that, because it's moving in this direction. But if it continues in that path, it'll get into Charleston in about 9 minutes, 15 minutes from Senatobia, about 22 minutes before it moves into Batesville. Enid about 30 minutes away, Tirzah 42 minutes. Wakefield, 57 minutes, 67 minutes from Blytheville, and about 70 minutes, 69 to 70 minutes away, an hour and 10 minutes away from Collierville. So it looks like that little area could clip and will likely clip southeastern Shelby County and then come up north and move right through the Memphis metro. I put a track on that earlier to show you. Let's give it a little different track orientation. Tell you what, I'll hit this, and then let's take this and show you how we're going to track that from this way, kind of like that. All right, so even though it is moving in this direction, it's going to swing out a little more in this direction. So that'll bring that into Memphis in about less than 45 minutes. We'll see it get into Walls in about 10 minutes, about 23 minutes from Hernando, 29 minutes from South Haven, Olive Branch, just under an hour away, just over an hour from Bartlett, Lakeland, and about 84 minutes. So you're looking about an hour and 25 minutes, about an hour and 26 minutes before it gets into Collierville. And again, that's if it continues on that path and at that speed, which I do believe it will, that's going to come on into the area. Now, nothing in the way of significant wind with it at this time, but that's not to say that those winds can't intensify and develop over the next few minutes. Nothing in the way of rotation, I do believe, but the potential is certainly there. Let's take a look at those wind speeds. And from just to the west of Batesville, south of Arcabutler of Sardis Lake, about 39-mile-an-hour winds, 45, just over 45-mile-an-hour winds in there. And that's, again, at about anywhere from 1,500 to 3,000 feet. Tough to say what's actually at the surface right now, but I would venture to guess winds of at least 20 miles per hour in that area, and that making a pretty good or headed into an area that's got a little more instability, a little more sheared. And again, keep in mind, this whole area is under a tornado watch, and that watch is in place tonight. I'm not sure I have the watch on here. There is the link system that Spencer's working with tonight. We'll check in with him in just a moment to see what he's looking at and tracking. Things are looking a little better. But we still have the one active warning. I think we've got a picture of 40 and 55. Let's take a look at that. This is from the TDOT, or the Arkansas the TDOT SmartWay camera that is at 40 and 55. Got a lot of clouds out there. And notice the rolls in those clouds. They're like in waves. That's very typical also of a tropical system. So that cloud structure, those low stratus clouds that we're seeing, but because of all the instability and the ripples in the atmosphere, it creates that pattern in the cloud cover that is in place. But right now, rain-free, although I think that's going to be changing within the next few minutes. As we take a look from our High 5 camera in Midtown, we are looking to the west. Those are the storms that are in eastern Arkansas, but it is to the south that we are looking at more significant activity moving in our direction. That Oxford camera, do we have that? Can you pop that up, Spencer?
Yeah, I think I can pop that up.
Pop up that Oxford camera, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. So this is Oxford, and that is a pretty impressive view. The flag waving there in the wind, but all is calm in Lafayette County right now. The calm before the storm, because there is a line that's just to your west, and that's about to cross 55 and moving in your direction within the next few minutes. Spencer, what were you looking at on the radar just a moment ago?
Well, I was just kind of watching these storms. We only have that one tornado warning left right now, Ron, so that's what we're kind of keeping an eye on, is the one in Cross County. Let me go back to the radar real quick, and I want to show you that one warning, and we're going to have to watch that line, as Ron mentioned, down to the south. We'll have to watch that line that's coming toward Memphis, toward Shelby County, but as soon as this warning expires, we will be warning free for the first time in at least a couple hours, I think.
Yeah,
So,
well, we had about a 2-minute period of no warnings, and then they issued another one.
yeah, and they'll probably issue more as we go through the evening, but once this warning expires, and it goes until 7:45, so another 10 minutes or so, and it looks like, Ron, that's moving, as you mentioned, into out of our coverage area. So Memphis is all clear right now, but that's not going to be the case later as this activity moves up from the south. So along I-55, we're watching this area of possible rotation with some of these storms. Nothing severe with those at this time, so we'll keep you posted on that. We'll probably go back to programming here in just a second for those that are asking about that. We are watching, again, this one warning. Let me look at the velocity one more time, and it's just about to move out of the edge of Poinsett County, so it's right on the edge there, just west of Harrisburg and just west of Waldenburg. And I have a feeling there's going to be some at least wind damage with this as it moves across the area. So that area down there, let me look at the shear on this. And man, I mean, there's definitely been some rotation with these storms. The red that you see on the screen, that red, because I know sometimes these look like foreign maps to a lot of folks who don't analyze data very much, but this is the red that you see here is all rotation that we've seen so far with these storms tonight, and they can produce damage. These a lot of times hurricanes produce EF1, EF2 tornadoes. It's not out of the question. In fact, Rita did the same thing. Rita, which was a very similar track to this, very similar storm to this, when it moved up across the deep south, it produced a substantial amount of tornadoes. So that's what we're watching for tonight and tomorrow with this storm, with what's left of Laura. Again, a tropical storm that will weaken into a depression. But Ron, once this one gets out, we should be good to go for at least a little bit until this next batch comes through.
And let me ask you a question, I kind of have an answer to this, but I want your opinion as well. That's a wonderful thing about Spencer and I. We often talk and debate weather philosophies and principles. But with the sun setting now, you know, typically we get an environment like this, and when we've got that sun up, we have the greatest potential for the strongest storms, tornadoes, especially during this time of the year and early fall. What are your thoughts with this tropical system? Sun is setting. Do you think that's going to stabilize the atmosphere to some degree, even with that system in place?
I think the further away you get from that center of the low pressure system that's moving through west and central Arkansas, I think the less the threat's going to be, because we don't have that unstable air there. So that's that line that's coming out of North Mississippi right now. It doesn't look as bad to me as this did moving through eastern Arkansas over the past couple of hours. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. But for now, I think you know, we're okay once this starts to continue to rotate out of the Mid-South.
And I think you're absolutely right, too. We have some great weather discussions. I always love talking weather principles and philosophies with you, Spencer. Let's recap what we're doing right now. Let me show you what's going on in the area. We've got a tornado watch until 9 o'clock. This is for Arkansas, eastern Arkansas, the counties that border the Mississippi River in West Tennessee. That is Lauderdale, Tipton, Shelby, and much of northwest Mississippi along and west of the 55 corridor. That's that band of showers we were watching earlier. We're also looking at some significant winds in the area. Winds right now anywhere from 15 to 20, 25 miles per hour, but we're also seeing some higher gusts. As a matter of fact, at the top of the hour, we had gusts of 40 miles per hour at Memphis International Airport. And then as we get into the overnight hours, it is likely that we could see gusts in Memphis and points farther west and southwest, even to the north and east of 40 miles per hour. That's going to shift a little more to the east as we get on into the day tomorrow. But even in the early morning hours, gusts of 35, close to 40 miles per hour are likely. By midday, the focus shifts a little farther east into West Tennessee. But it's tomorrow evening we want to watch closely because we could see some strong storms developing to northeastern Arkansas late tomorrow before finally moving on out. But right now, our first alert Doppler 5 radar finding one active tornado warning. This is the band we're going to watch very closely in the next few hours because this is the one that will likely impact the city of Memphis and Shelby County, and coming on through, again, an area that is still under a tornado watch. But for now, we only have one active tornado warning, and that is for the cell that's moving on through Cross and Poinsett County, and that tornado warning remains in place for about another couple of minutes. That's going to be until 7:45 this evening. So that's what I'm looking at as far as the one active warning that we have. We had a pretty tight couplet showing up there a little while ago. Let's take a look at what we're seeing right now, because I think things are looking a little better. It looks like there are still some pretty strong winds that extend from Wynn and even moving through Harrisburg right now. So keep in mind that's moving north, but it is also wrapping around in this direction, and that's why we can still see little spin-ups occurring in there, and that's what we want to watch very carefully throughout the remainder of the evening and overnight hours. So with the sun setting, that will help to destabilize or to stabilize things to some degree, but because we're still dealing with a lot of activity and the remnants of Tropical Storm Laura still well to our south, and we got a long way before that will finally move on out of the coverage area, we're going to have to remain diligent throughout the overnight hours and watch this system very carefully as it continues to migrate north and then eventually make a turn to the east. So this storm, the remnants of this storm are going to move in that direction. So we'll see it coming up through central Arkansas and then make a curve as it gets into northeast Arkansas and western Kentucky. That will move it east and will likely move that entire system out in the Atlantic over the weekend. We could see that redevelop into a tropical depression as it moves into the Atlantic. But right now, a little closer to home, still dealing with some heavy rain. Flooding, I think, is still going to be an issue. We've got a flood watch in effect for the entire coverage area until 7 p.m. tomorrow. We've got a wind advisory in effect through Friday, and then we've got the tornado watch in effect through the overnight and evening hours. Right now, we've got this storm that is moving out of our coverage area, but still a pretty good band. But that little band that's right there around northwestern Mississippi, I want to watch that closely in the next few hours for any development that may come through there, because the potential for some pretty significant wind to develop. And let's see if we've got any shear developing along that line. I see a little bit. Can you see those little areas that are, let me point that out for you. Right there, looks like there's been a little shear that's developed right there around Quitman County, western Panola County. That could intensify, but this evening so far, the greatest amount of shear now shifting to the north and west from St. Francis through Cross, beginning to enter Poinsett County right now. So this is what we have. As far as windy conditions go around the Memphis metro, we're faring well. We've had some strong winds, no thunderstorms moving through, but the big question is, even with those wind gusts of 40 miles per hour, has it knocked out any power? Joyce Peterson standing by right now. She's got to look at the MLGW map.
Yeah, and I think you can guess the answer to that. We just upticked to about 2,100 MLGW customers without power. Take a look at the top of the outage map there, that red box. That's Fraser. More than 1,100 customers impacted by this outage. It's near New Allen and Ray Bramall, Hawkins Mill Road, St. Elmo Avenue, 1,100 customers without power there. Let me refresh the map one more time and double check. So we're at 2,100 customers. That just ticked up from about 1,200 within the last couple of minutes. And those 40-mile-per-hour gusts, we know what they can do to the MLGW grid, so we'll be keeping a close eye on that. If your power is out, call 544-6500. Remember, you cannot report an outage on social media. You must call. And here's hoping the phone number is working tonight. Ron, I'm going to send it back to you.
Okay, Joyce, so let's take a look once again at this line. Somebody on Facebook wanted to know a little more about Senatobia because that is getting a little closer. That is not severe, but that's not to say that there couldn't be some strong wind. Now, I pointed out earlier, this whole area is moving in this direction. This line is moving north, but it's also making a little progression to the east. So very bizarre activity with this as it just kind of spreads out and makes its way through. So let's put a track on this. Let me show you where this is likely to go within the next few minutes. And I tell you what, I'll track it in segments because with this portion moving to the east-northeast, that's going to bring that segment around into Panola in about a minute, Tirzah 9 minutes. We'll see it get into Luxahoma in about 17 minutes. 20 minutes away from East Tate Elementary School, 25 minutes from Independence, about 29 minutes from Barb, Glenville, 35 minutes away, Wakefield, 39 minutes for you. Now, let's track a little farther north of that using that same path and pattern. That will put this into Nesbit in about a minute. We'll see it get into Horn Lake in 6 minutes, about 11 minutes from South Haven, 14 minutes from Plum Point, 19 minutes before it moves into Lurleen, about 23 minutes from Capable, 29 minutes from Olive Branch, and about 34 minutes before it moves into White Station. Now I'm going to pan just to the north a little bit, and let's track this segment of the storm to see will it will impact the city of Memphis and Shelby County, because with it moving in that same kind of a northerly trek, but expanding a little farther to the east, Walls about a minute away for you, 11 minutes from Crawfordsville, 17 minutes from West Memphis, 20 minutes from South Haven, 26 minutes from Mound City, 36 minutes before this gets into the city of Memphis, and about 41 minutes from Fraser. Already a major power outage in Fraser. So now we're looking at some heavy rain and gusty wind coming in there. That could create some problems there. 48 minutes before it moves into Woodstock there in northwestern Shelby County. But as far as the active warnings go right now, I'm happy to say at this time, we've got some flood warnings. Got flood warnings for parts of eastern Arkansas, no active tornado warnings. That flood warning for Cross, Lee, St. Francis, that is going to be in place until 10 o'clock tonight. That is a result of the heavier rainfall that we are seeing in that area, that we have seen, and the potential for more rain as we get into the evening and overnight hours. Right now, no active tornado warnings anywhere in the coverage area. Spencer, National Weather Service saying anything about potential rotation anywhere in the area?
No, they're just basically right now holding steady with what's going on out there. It looks like it's ramping down a little bit for now.
Okay, I tell you what, let's do this. We're about 13 minutes away from the top of the hour, so we've pretty much eaten up the America's Got Talent, I do believe. Is that what's on right now? I do believe. So I'm inclined to stay with this until 8 o'clock tonight. And then we'll just carry it till the top of the hour. Make sure nothing else pops up within the next 11 minutes. It'll give us a good chance to recap, look at the forecast, and then we'll get you back to your regularly scheduled programming at 8 o'clock. We've got the RNC, the Republican National Convention coverage. That's coming up at 9 o'clock. Hopefully we won't have to interrupt there. And if anything significant in the way of a thunderstorm pops up, severe thunderstorm warning or significant weather below tornado warning threshold, we'll do that on our digital platforms on Facebook, our website, and on Roku and Amazon Fire. But as far as things go right now, this is the big picture. This is how things are moving. I am very encouraged that we've gone the last few minutes with no tornado warnings. We saw tornado warnings starting to be issued right around, we got our first one right around 4:30, 4:45 this afternoon, and we've seen successive tornado warnings continue up until this very point, but nothing right now. But we still have this significant tropical system moving through the area, and it has produced a considerable amount of rotation. As a matter of fact, Spencer, you've got the rotation tracks over there. They look pretty impressive, especially west of 55 and that area in eastern Arkansas. As a matter of fact, I think I can bring that up there. You want to point out anything specifically on that?
Well, it looks like, as we expected, we've been showing a map. I've been sharing a map of the last couple of days of that severe threat over eastern Arkansas, primarily for this evening. And so far, that's really what's happened. We've had a couple of warnings there for Tunica County. The good news that I'm noticing is that we're not seeing the rotation quite as strong with that line that's moving toward Memphis. And when you look at the heavy rain on the map, and I say heavy rain because I don't see any lightning with this. It's not really storms, but you can see as I circle this area right here. So I'm going to circle that whole area, and then I'm going to turn the rotation track back on and look at how there's hardly anything with that, but everything over eastern Arkansas, the closer you get to that center of rotation, the more spin you get in the atmosphere. So that's kind of the good news is maybe this area along I-55 as it moves toward Memphis, maybe it won't cause as many issues. So that's kind of what we're watching right now. But again, this is the area. Let me go back to the rain. So you see all the red on the map. That's actually heavy rain. That's not anything tornadic. That's not severe. It's that is tropical type rains. These are the same kind of heavy rains that are associated with Hurricane Laura as they moved onto the coast. And within these bands of heavy rain, you get very strong gusts of wind still. Even though this storm is not over water anymore, it still has tropical characteristics. So that's what we're watching.
All right, and Spencer, let's now take a look at Futurecast. And let me show you. Now, it's not picking up on the intensity of that line, but it's got great general placement, and this forecast model is initializing very well. Again, showing the heavier precipitation to our west, northwest by 9 o'clock tonight. That little band still hanging in there, but as we advance this forward to about 10, that's when we're likely going to see activity coming through Memphis Metro, maybe even a little before that. And then the heavier rain still remaining back to our west, but it's these isolated cells we want to keep a close eye on because those will have the potential to rotate overnight tonight and into the early morning hours. Now by 4 a.m., this is showing a relatively mild pattern in the area with some pretty good downpours to the west, but that is going to focus a little farther east. The low pressure center associated with Laura is also going to be coming a little closer in proximity to the Mid-South. It will likely be just to our northwest, so we're going to be on the dirty side of that low, as we call it, the area where there's a little more rotation, where there's some stronger winds, and we could see that in northeastern Arkansas right around between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. Friday, and then making a push to the east, bringing some bands in from 8 in the morning until about midday into West Tennessee. But we're not finished with it just yet. That low is going to continue to track east, remaining well to our north, but I think it's going to keep some bands of precipitation moving through the area, especially into parts of northern Mississippi and primarily along and south of the I-40 corridor. So I want to just generalize that area for Friday afternoon and into Friday evening. We could see a few intense cells developing because I think that part of our coverage area is going to have the opportunity to heat up. There's a lot of moisture there, and with the front coming in behind that low, it is going to develop a little bit of a cold front behind it because it's going to draw in some colder air on the backside of it, and that colder, drier air could come in mixing with this, and that could produce some severe showers and storms over that area there. So that's what we're going to look at for the next 24 hours. And just as we think things are getting better, again, the tornado watch remains in effect, but we've got another tornado warning. Spencer, let's pop that up on your radar. I think that is for, looks like it is for Cross and Poinsett counties, I believe.
Yeah, this is Eastern Cross and southeastern Poinsett County. It's near Parkin, near Highway 64 is where the rotation is, and the National Weather Service has been saying they were going to issue this over the last minute or two, and there it is. That's what we're looking at. If we can switch over to the link system, and you can see that storm. It is near Parkin. Let's put a track on it. So again, new tornado warning that expires at 8:30. This goes until 8:30, so it's 7:54 right now. Tornado warning includes Twist and includes Harrisburg. This is going to the north. Let me put a track on this entire area. And this is the area. It's going to about 35 miles per hour. And again, let me pull this out here. So we'll do like that and then go like that. And there we go. And so there's Parkin right there. And again, this is kind of east of Cherry Valley. There's not a whole lot of communities in this area, but again, there is some broad rotation with this. And Ron, this looks just like we've seen, just like the rest of the areas of rotation we've seen over the past couple of hours.
Yeah, these little spin-ups coming through there.
Yeah, so this is the same story. But if you're in Twist, Whitehall, Harrisburg, Weona, you need to take your tornado precautions.
Spencer, I've got Glenn South on the phone. He's the EMA director for Cross County. Glenn, you guys under a tornado warning right now. I know it's a busy night for you. I want to thank you for taking a moment to talk to us. What do you got to report for us tonight?
Well, so far we've fared fairly well. We had some storms come through on the west side of the county and spun up, but they didn't, as far as I know, we didn't get any damage from it. But it's kind of been the same way for the last hour. It's more or less past wind where I'm at right now, and we've had about 40-mile-an-hour, 50-mile-an-hour winds at times gusting. But other than that, we've just had some heavy rain.
No reports of damage or injuries anywhere?
We hadn't had any reports of injuries, well, I think we've had one tree down here in the city limits of wind, and other than that, we hadn't had any reports.
Glenn, let me ask you a question, and someone posed this question to me yesterday, and it may be outside your area of expertise, but I want to get your opinion on it either way. It's harvest in eastern Arkansas. We're coming up on harvest season. Most of the crops in that area maturing. Now we've got this torrential rain coming through. We've got these winds. What's this doing to agriculture in that area, or do you have any idea what the impact could be?
Well, the impact that this rain may give us with the wind is we've got a lot of rice that's at nearly mature. So if the wind blows it, what they call down rice, if it blows it down, it's a lot harder to harvest. So that makes it a lot tougher for the farmers to pick up that grain with their combines. But beans and other crops probably fare okay. But rice would probably be the one that would be impacted the most. So
this is the one. This is exactly what rice farmers don't want to see. And a lot of folks watching tonight may not realize a large portion of the rice produced in the United States comes out of eastern Arkansas. And Cross County is one of those areas.
Yes, that's true. Eastern Arkansas is one of the highest producers of rice in the state.
And actually, and globally, from what I understand as well. Yeah, so you guys are the heart of the rice crop for the world. So we can only hope and pray that this storm does not have a serious impact on farmers there. But I got to tell you, with all this rain coming in, and Glenn, we're looking at the potential for about 4 to 5 inches of rain in that area. That you're telling us is not a good thing for that area, for those farmers.
No, it's not. And we live here, especially on the west side of Crowley's Ridge, where a lot of our rice is flat ground, and it drains real slow. So it takes a long time to get the water off of it once we flood. So we've got some things to deal with over here.
Any reports of flooding? Has flooding been a big issue so far?
No, it hasn't. This storm that came in this afternoon has come in quick, and it seems to be moving quick. But if we get some more on top of it, well, we may have some issues there. But we've probably got some flooding in just some areas. But overall, we So far, I hadn't had any reports of any streets or anything flooding right now, but that may come later as water from this ridge weeps down and fills up these ditches and all. We may have some issues, but that's probably going to be seen tomorrow.
All right. Well, Glenn, I know you got a busy night tonight, and I appreciate you taking time out of your night to talk with us and share that information with us. Our hearts go out to everybody there, especially all the rice farmers and farmers in Cross County and all across eastern Arkansas. Glenn, stay safe tonight. And look, if anything else pops up, feel free to reach out to us and let us know about it, all right?
Sure, I appreciate the call.
All right, buddy. We appreciate talking to you. Thank you very much. So we've got a tornado warning in effect right now. This is for Cross and Poinsett counties, seeing a couple little areas of rotation. It looks like broad scale rotation, little spin ups, but as we're pointing out right here, you see those little areas, that little area west of Twist? That's where the radar detected some quick rotation. Another area here, some somewhat broad scale rotation coming up through Harrisburg, but this is the reason the National Weather Service issuing the tornado warning tonight, and that tornado warning now until 8:30 tonight. We've also got another tornado warning. That too just popped up within the last 15 minutes or last few minutes. And Spencer, I'm looking at the big picture. I want you to head down to Lafayette County or Panola County. The area we were looking at a moment ago, new tornado warning there. Now this is for Panola County, Como, Sardis, Batesville, all under a tornado warning at this time. We were looking at winds there moments ago, and just to the west of Batesville, there's some rotation there. That's that area that is moving to the, it's making a northerly progression, but it is slowly spreading off to the east. And we're not seeing a skit with this or a little arrow that would be popping up. And we're certainly not seeing a shear marker, but we are seeing a pretty good looking little couplet there that is near Batesville. So everyone who is in Batesville along Highway 278, if you are anywhere from Batesville to the west, I want you to get in your safe place right now, lowest floor of your home, get away from exterior walls and windows. You've got an active tornado warning there. That is going to go, that's until 8:30, am I right? Spencer,
Yes.
8:30 on that tornado warning.
Let's see, let me...
So, tornado
Yes.
warning until 8:30 tonight. That is for Panola County. Sardis Lake also included in that, the southern tip of Sardis Lake, but Como and the town of Sardis included in this. Bluff Springs, you also under a tornado warning right now. Pope and Cortland under the tornado warning, but it looks like the area of greatest concern or the area of maximum rotation is just to your north in the town of Batesville, really in that path right now. So that is going to create some problems there. Let's put a track on that. I tell you what, if you want to switch over to First Alert Doppler 5 radar on Max, I can put a quick track on that. Let's take a look at it because there's the warning. And this is the area we've been watching. We talked about that line. The winds didn't look that impressive moments ago, but now really starting to fire up. And let me get us back, and I'm going to zoom in just a little tighter to that one more time. Let's put a track on that cell. And let me go here, and let's take a look at this, and we'll track it. I'm going to track the leading edge of precipitation first. All right? So Terza, it's moving through right now. Barr, 15 minutes away. It's about 18 minutes from Glenville. It's about 18 minutes from Hillcrest Academy, 30 minutes from Wall Hill. Techville, 37 minutes, 38 minutes from Harmontown, 43 minutes before it gets into Marianna. Now let's track that little area where we were seeing the rotation coming through Batesville, because that's moving off to the east-northeast, I do believe. And I tell you what, I'm going to put a different track on that. Let me clear that out, because I think that's making more of a northern progression. So I think it's moving more like this. So just based on the latest radar data. So that area of rotation coming through Batesville in about 2 minutes. Batesville Elementary School, 2 minutes away. 4 minutes before it gets into South County Hospital. In the South County Hospital area, Viney Creek Church area, about 8 minutes away. Panola County, 14 minutes. Sardis, 17 minutes away. 18 minutes before it moves into North County Hospital. And then 22 minutes before we see that get into the Pleasant Green School. I want to look at the scope one more time. Let's take a look and see if we can see that area of rotation there. It shows up much better, I do believe, on the link system. Or did it just fall apart quickly, Spencer? Because so it did. It just fell apart quickly. All right, so right now, it doesn't look like much in there. As far as the shear tracker goes, let's see. There's a little bit of shear that was popping up right there. It's very brief and a very small area. That's just to the south of 278, west of 51 and 55. So it looks like it was there for a hot second and then gone. Going back to the velocity on this, and again, we're at the southern portion of that radar view. When anytime we're outside of about 75 miles, it makes it difficult to see what's actually occurring in the mid-levels of that storm. We're hitting a little higher up at about anywhere from 7,000 feet to as high as 9,000 feet, so somewhere within that range. But that's what I'm looking at right now. And as far as, I'll throw the scope on here one more time. That's what I'm looking at for this area, and I don't see anything. But we do have the tornado warning. That is in effect until 8:30. Spencer, you're on that storm in Arkansas. Let's go to that because it looks like the shear is still there. What are you seeing?
Yeah, definitely seeing some rotation south of Harrisburg, so we haven't forgotten about you guys in northeastern Arkansas. This tornado warning, it includes portions of northeastern Cross County, eastern parts of Poinsett County, or south central Poinsett County, and then another one includes northwestern parts of Poinsett County. But where I'm looking at right now is this area right here, south of Harrisburg. Possible rotation, and there's the latest scan. Let's look at the velocity on this real quick. This is just west of Winona. This is going to the north, and it's going to squeeze just to the east of Harrisburg. So if you're in Harrisburg along State Highway 14, you need to be in your safe place until this storm passes. Also, some of the areas that will be impacted, some of the roads include Ditch 26, also as you go down toward Dam Road and then over toward State Highway 163. So if you're in any of these areas, again, rotation will move just to the east of Harrisburg. It will scoot by McCormick and Weona and then Greenfield, and then we have other areas of rotation in northwestern parts of Poinsett County, Waldenburg to Chilson, and then up toward Otwell, and this goes into parts of Craighead County as well. So, Ron, we actually have 3 different tornado warnings ongoing right now here in the Mid-South, none for Memphis or Shelby County. So Memphis and Shelby County, okay, but other areas in North Mississippi, eastern Arkansas, still under the gun.
All right, and this brings me to a discussion that's going on our Facebook page right now. We're also, by the way, broadcasting our live coverage on Facebook, and there were some people who were wondering what is the difference between a watch and a warning. We have the 3 warnings. That means that rotation is detected. There is the possibility of a tornado on the ground right now in Panola County. We've got this activity in Cross and Poinsett County, and another in Poinsett and Craighead County. So they are under warnings. A watch is in effect from Lauderdale County to Tipton, Shelby, northern Mississippi, along and west of 55 and all of eastern Arkansas. A watch means that conditions are favorable. So you want to pay attention during a watch. you want to take action during a warning. And that's what we have right now. So folks who are in Panola County, southern Tate County, right there around Sardis Lake in northwestern Lafayette County, you want to take action. Be in the lowest floor of your home, away from exterior walls, windows. People that are in Cross County, northeastern Cross County, right there around central Poinsett County, same thing. Take action. Make sure you're in the safest place of your home. Make sure your family is together. You want to have some flashlights, a method of getting additional warnings, whether that be on your smartphone, your tablet, or on your weather radio. Get away from the TV. Don't watch me. Turn up the volume and get in your safe place, whether that be a closet, your basement, an area with as many walls between you and the exterior as possible. That's what you need to do, taking action in a tornado warning. But everyone else under that watch, you want to remain weather aware throughout the overnight hours, because we could certainly see more activity developing and additional tornado warnings issued before the night is over. But right now, this is the area, and this is where we have seen the majority of the rotation tonight, the greatest area of rotation, primarily around eastern Arkansas. But that line that we talked about an hour ago, we started talking about that line along 55 about an hour ago, and watching that possibly intensify, and that's certainly what is occurring tonight. Notice nothing in the way of lightning. I say nothing. There's 6 strikes of lightning in there. Tropical systems just don't produce lightning that supercells that are that form in a free environment or along a cold front will produce. We just don't have that colder air aloft, and we're not seeing hail within these. We're seeing torrential rain, so thus no lightning there, but a lot of very, very heavy rainfall, and certainly around Sardis, Como, and even into Batesville. And look at that, right there north of 278, right there on the 55 corridor. Do we have a camera there? Can we tap into one of the MDOT cameras on 55? We don't have access to that? Okay, we're going to see if we can get that for you and find out and see what it looks like there. See if we can get some a visual of what's moving through that area right now. We are starting to see precipitation move into the city of Memphis and Shelby County. It's coming on into Whitehaven, South Haven. You're getting it into South Memphis, moving inside the 240 loop, just south on the southern leg of the 240 loop. Some light precipitation there, but heavier rainfall around the airport right now. And we've got heavier rain into southwest Memphis. The tornado warning now removed. Looks like they have taken Cross County out of it. This polygon now just for Poinsett County, but 2 active tornado warnings tonight for Poinsett County. One that includes Harrisburg, another one that includes Weiner, Arkansas, northwestern Poinsett County, and a good portion of western Craighead County, west of Jonesboro, but still a good portion of Craighead County under a tornado warning there. So 2 active warnings there, 1 active warning in northern Mississippi that will go until 8:30 tonight. Although I think that line, that system seems to be falling apart pretty quickly, at least for the one in Panola County. But these 2 still holding together well. And notice, that is a tropical band that's moving through. That's where we're seeing the strongest wind. And along that band of where that stronger wind is, on the backside of that heavier rain, that's where we're seeing these little spin-ups. And look at that. Spencer, 50 to 60 mile an hour winds in that. That's something else.
Yeah.
So those are some strong winds. And at the very least, we could see some significant damage from those winds coming through. Even if you're not getting an actual tornado. Now, our tornado warnings tonight, not visual confirmation, but radar indicated tornadoes. National Weather Service seeing this rotation on the radar and issuing the warning as a result of that. So that is based on what they are seeing on the radar view itself. Right now, this line that extends all the way down into through Panola County and farther south, and really right there along 55, really starting to intensify now as it moves into the city of Memphis and Shelby County. I'm seeing some pretty good activity that is that's coming through and coming into the city of Memphis and Shelby County at this time. So that's what I'm looking at there. That line, I think, Spencer, that has the potential to really intensify within the next hour or so. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's definitely getting heavier with the rainfall. The question is, will we continue to see these little spin-ups within that? So we'll have to watch that closely. But for now, we are looking at some pretty heavy downpours that are occurring right along I-55. This is really stretching all the way from Sardis all the way into southern Shelby County. So this is a pretty good little stretch of I-55 all the way up into Whitehaven. So again, we're not going to have a ton of lightning with this, but the rainfall and the wind within these cells is going to be very strong. In fact, we've seen gusts already outside of these downpours. Even just the wind alone has been up near 40 miles per hour. So I wouldn't be surprised easily if we didn't hit 50 with some of these cells, Ron.
Because just a moment ago, the National Weather Service issued a tornado warning for northern Poinsett County and Craighead County to now include Jonesboro. Yeah, Jonesboro now under a active tornado warning. That warning there is going to, it was just issued moments ago. That is going to go until 9 o'clock. Just to the south of it, we've got the tornado warning that is for Poinsett County. That's until 8:30 tonight. And then we're looking at the tornado warning that is for Lafayette, Panola, and Tate County. That's going to go until 8:30 tonight. All of this, and really all of this, part of one pretty significant outer band of circulation that's wrapping around the core of Laura, Tropical Storm Laura, as it's moving through and really creating some big problems in northeast Arkansas and happening right on time. We talked about that, the greater probability for storms being into northeastern Arkansas tonight from 7 till about 10 o'clock tonight, and then shifting a little farther east from midnight until about anywhere from midnight to 8 o'clock tomorrow morning into West Tennessee. So now this is playing out just as we had expected. The one variable is going to be this line that is moving to the north, but is now starting to spread a little farther to the east. And could we get some spin in there? Because that's just about to make its way into the Memphis metro and impact a pretty good portion of Shelby County. And parts of Shelby County where we have already seen some power outages, and now with this coming in and the stronger winds that could be associated with it, that's what we are concerned about now that that's moving inside the 240 loop. But let's take a look at the big picture once again. Let's go back into this cell that's in northern Mississippi, put a quick track on this. That is still under a tornado warning. I am going to, first of all, take a look at the velocity on this. Let's take a look at the scope here, the velocity scope, see if we're seeing any rotation. Then we're going to check in on those cells that are in northeastern Arkansas. It looks like there may be a little something there near Sardis. What are winds doing there? About 40, about close to 50 mile an hour winds in that. Quick track on that, moving it to the north and east because it is moving in that direction to some degree. So Pleasant Green School, you're about a minute away. Union School, 7 minutes. From Liberty Hill School, 8 minutes. We put the schools on here because oftentimes people know where they live in a proximity to a school or a church. So we list those on here. Beulah School, 15 minutes. Lewis Chapel School, about 19 minutes. Luxahoma, 19 minutes away. Crossroad, 20 minutes away. And Luxahoma Church in about 20 minutes. That will be getting there. That's when that rotation is going to be moving in. You're already dealing with rainfall. Now, let's take a close look at what we're dealing with in eastern Arkansas. First, I'll look at the scope once again to see if we're seeing anything in the way of significant rotation. In southern Poinsett County, it looks like the greater probability for the stronger winds now right there around Harrisburg. I'm seeing wind gusts of 50 to 60 miles per hour, close to 70 miles per hour there. Let's put a track on that wind and I'm basically just gonna track that band of wind to the northwest. All right, so that's kind of a wonky track, but that's the direction it's moving. So about 2 minutes away from Cary, 2 minutes from County Line Church, 7 minutes from Ridge, about 7 minutes from Valley View High School, 11 minutes from Craighead Forest City, our county park, 14 minutes from Herman. We're going to see it move into Fox Meadow Intermediate Center in about 15 minutes, 17 minutes before Surgical Hospital of Jonesboro. So that's coming right into the town of Jonesboro within the next few minutes. Very heavily populated area there, just outside our coverage area. Harrisburg, you're still under one tornado warning, and then you've got another one that is just to the north of you. That's the one that encompasses Jonesboro and central Craighead County. The one polygon that was in place for northwestern Poinsett County, it looks like it's been scaled back to some degree. We've got overlapping polygons that are there. So just in this very small area, we've got 3 active tornado warnings. We've got one that's going to go until 8:45. We've got the other one that goes until 9, and the one just to the south of that until 8:30 tonight. So those are the 3 active warnings we have there, 4 in total. This one also remaining in place until 8:30 tonight. Quick look inside the city of Memphis and Shelby County. This is going to continue to move to the north and east. So folks that are in Bartlett, I say north and east, it's really just kind of circulating in this direction. So yeah, it is spreading out to the east, but it is moving to the northwest. So it's about 4 minutes away from being inside the 240 loop proper, so in the city proper. 5 minutes away from St. Clair, about 9 minutes from Fraser, 13 minutes before it moves into Overton, about 17 minutes from Woodstock, 20 minutes from Egypt and Bartlett, 25 minutes away. It'll get into Sloanville in about 28 minutes. So that's what I'm looking at there. As far as a hail tracker goes, because we're dealing with a tropical system, we're not seeing anything in the way of hail. This is a big picture once again. Spencer Denton working masterfully here on our Lynx computer and using our First Alert Doppler 5 radar, our 1 million watt radar located over in West Memphis, Arkansas. Spencer, that is definitely an outer band.
Absolutely.
From a tropical system.
And I can hear it right now over the...
Just heard it.
Yeah, just heard it over on the roof here at 1960 Union Avenue. Let's take a look at that one more time. Again, we're tracking those 3 warnings, and you can see the heavy rain. I want to put this into motion. Over the past hour, we're getting this band that's moving out of northern Mississippi. And again, this is kind of hugging at the counties along the Mississippi River and will continue north. So we're probably going to see a few more warnings before the evening is over, because it is only at this time it's only 8:21. So at 8:21 we'll probably see at least another couple hours as this moves north through West Tennessee. Now, will it weaken some eventually? It might, but right now it shows no signs of that. And we're going to get some pretty gusty wind here in Shelby County, DeSoto County, also down toward Hernando. But again, if you're in northeastern portions of Arkansas, that's where we're keeping an eye. The closest eye is with these 3 tornado warnings west of Mark Tree around Harrisburg. And again, I can kind of circle the areas just by looking at this. I can circle and show you the areas of biggest concern. So if you're in Truman, Bay, Jonesboro, those areas, those are all little areas of rotation along that line. So those are 3 little areas trying to move through northern parts of Poinsett County. So between Truman and Harrisburg. If you're south of Harrisburg, I don't see a whole lot right there at this time. So it looks like you may be okay in southern Poinsett County, but the northern part into southern Craighead is really where we're watching. And then we're also still watching that area down to the south as well. Still some rotation with that cell there along I-55. So this is between the Sardis Lake and I-55. This is along Union Road and down toward looks like Home Place Road as well. So this is north of Hideaway Hills, north of 315, where we're seeing that area of weak rotation right now. This is just to the north of the Sardis community as well. So probably going to see a few more areas like this, Ron, over the next couple of hours.
I am very impressed Impressed by the fact that we have not seen or gotten much in the way of reports of damage yet. Now, it's dark outside right now, so anything that develops now, it's going to be tough to get any confirmation on tornadoes, possible or visual confirmation of a tornado, or damage too. And then we've got the heavy rain that's coming down with it. But at the very least, there's some very, very strong wind in there. Let's go to the First Alert Doppler 5 radar, and let me show you again that band. That is just so impressive as it continues to just move in this direction. We've got training echoes of rainfall, which prompts increases the probability for flash flooding, but at the same time, that band is spreading to the north and out to the east as it wraps around the low pressure center. And because it's moving in this direction, and then you get that cross flow with it, it creates that spin up that we're seeing embedded within that line itself. So that's where it is, that's where it's coming from, and that's the direction that it is moving. Here is the big setup, and wow, what a setup it is. This is Laura, all right? It is now moving into western Arkansas. Little Rock's getting clipped by this. We've got high pressure over here that is also working to reinforce the southerly flow. So that's continuing to draw up a tremendous amount of moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. That band, that outer band that extends from south of Jackson all the way north into northeastern Arkansas is really the trouble spot tonight, because we get this convergence right here, and that air, as it's being forced to the west from the high pressure, you get the southerly flow, then Laura is trying to force it to the east. It has nowhere to go but up. And as it does move up, you get the rapid condensation with this, and that's when you get the strong storms and the strong wind that develops with it. So this cell is going to move north and then make a turn to the east. This is a look from our camera site in Oxford, Mississippi tonight. The wind is blowing there. It is dry. Nothing in the way of precipitation. Look at that flag blowing in the wind. Stronger winds are coming. Heavier rain is coming. That band is going to be moving in your direction. Tornado warning right now for northwestern or northeastern Panola County from 55 farther east and to the north. That extends into Tate County. Then we've got the tornado warning for Poinsett County. That's until 8:30 tonight. Just to the north of that, tornado warning until 9 p.m. tonight. And then that tornado warning for western Craighead County, that too remains in effect until 9 p.m. tonight. You notice these areas in green? Those are flood warnings, and there's a lot of rain that's come through there. This warning for Panola County is about to expire. Northwestern Lafayette County, you're included in it, but we still want to watch it because it's still moving into a highly sheared environment. Those factors still exist with Laura to the west, high pressure to the east. That has nowhere to go but up and to spin as it moves to the north. There's a little area, that's a little couplet that's just popped up in the last couple of minutes, Spencer, right there to the east of Como. That's looking, there's another one that's right there north of Senatobia, or to the east of Senatobia, right there at 55. It would not surprise me if the Weather Service took a look at that, and that's showing some pretty good rotation around Senatobia. I expect to see that polygon extended a little farther north and to last a little longer within the next few minutes. So we want to watch that very closely. And they just did it. Just issued a new tornado warning for that. That's going to go until when?
That one goes until
9 o'clock.
Still till 9 o'clock, yep.
All right, till 9 o'clock.
Look at this.
Again, no reports of damage in Panola County. Good news there, but wow, some strong wind. Look at that, 78 to 87 miles per hour. That's not necessarily at the surface. That's not wind at the surface, but that's wind that's at about 3,000 feet. And again, it's forced down So in that lower level, so we could have winds at the surface of 35, 40, 45 miles per hour. And we're certainly seeing that rotation there. Look at that. That's when we see that green and that red coming together, that counterclockwise flow, and that is the indication that we're dealing with a potential tornado. And two areas. I'm surprised that that is not in the tornado warned box. You know? I'm wondering what the reasoning was there, because maybe they're anticipating that moving in that direction. But that's what we're looking at, that activity moving off to the east and then really just kind of migrating north as that cell moves north. That's going to quickly move into Marshall County. That will get into a portion of DeSoto County soon. So that whole band, and that was the band we were watching earlier and feared would intensify, and that's certainly been the case tonight. And now a couple of areas of circulation popping up right there from Coldwater south to about Morhee. We're dealing with that, or really to Como, from Coldwater to Como. That's the area, that's the hot zone right now, and just to the east of 55. So that's what we're looking at. Spencer, anything catch your eye on there?
Well, it's definitely increasing in intensity, because I've noticed that wind. I just pointed it out at 95 miles per hour. That's aloft. Again, as Ron mentioned, that is about 3,500 feet high, but that is going to move down to the surface. There's going to be some wind with this, definitely some 50 to 60 mile per hour winds, no doubt about that. The question is, will we see a tornado possible with this storm? And as I look at both of these, there's definitely rotation there, and even the storm relative winds are now increasing as well. So this is not weakening, this is increasing. So if you're in Luxhoma, if you're in Crossroad, if you're in Bett, Aiken, Wakefield, Rock Hill, Antioch, you need to stay in your safe place until the storm passes. Again, this is until 9 o'clock, so this is about 30 minutes. So you need to stay in that lowest part of your home. There's the latest update from the radar. Let's look at the velocities again. And again, this is at the very least, this is a very strong area of winds approaching Crossroads, and also moving now. This is moving into, I'll zoom out so you get a better idea. This is southern parts of Tate County, and this extends all the way into southeastern portions of DeSoto County. So eventually this storm is going to ride north toward Byhalia, and this is going to stay just east of Coldwater. So if you're in any of those areas, you'll just want to stay weather alert and be ready to head to your safe place. Again, it's still a little ways from Byhalia, but definitely going to move on through parts of Tate County and even western Marshall County. This will approach 269 and I-22 here in the next 30 minutes or so. So Ron, definitely this area is not weakening, even though it's further away from the center, from the low. It is still maintaining, and even at nighttime, even though we're entering the nighttime, that makes it a little more dangerous, because there's no way to see this coming. You just need to kind of hunker down in your safe place inside. You don't want to be outside when these storms are rolling through. So we're keeping an eye on this, but this is lining up right along I-55 right now. So if you're in any of these areas from Sardis to Hernando, you want to wait until this passes by. This is definitely going to produce some very heavy rainfall. In fact, let's take a quick look at the rain rates on this, because we have some extremely heavy rain that is falling right now, along with this potential for possible tornado that is on the, maybe at least radar indicated, but could possibly be on the ground. They're moving into southern parts of Tate County. So let me turn this back on the map here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's go to the radar, and we're going to go to accumulation and do the 1 hour rain rates here. Let's do just do the regular rain rate. There we go. Now let's toggle this on. Look at that, 6 inches an hour in that. That is a tropical downpour right now. So that's what we're looking at, but certainly not just the heavy rain, but definitely the tornado threat is there.
And Spencer, let me show you this shot from Hernando. The blowing rain in Hernando. Look at that, sheets of rain moving across the street and through the streets in Hernando. That is indicative of a tropical downpour coming down right now. So they're getting the wind, they're getting the heavy rain, and anywhere from about 3 to 6 inches per hour. In other words, if that sat on top of you, that cell sat right there on top of that area for an hour, it would drop about 6 inches of rainfall in that period of time. So we're looking at that torrential rain. The potential for flash flooding is there, but the greatest threat right now and tonight is the threat for isolated tornadoes. And we have 2 active tornado warnings. You've got a shear marker up there around south of Jonesboro. What is that? What's the BTI on that?
It looks like it's a 3.9.
Okay, so close to a 4. Let me let you take a look at that.
Yeah, that's moving out of northern Poinsett County, but the folks there in Jonesboro and parts of Craighead County need to stay in their safe place as well, because this one, this area of storms has had definite potential for rotation for most of the night. So if you're in the Cary community, this is approaching the south side of Jonesboro. We're getting all indications that there's at least some strong rotation with this and possibly a tornado. Nothing confirmed on the ground. So we're watching that area. It looks like it's all clear now in Poinsett County. They have allowed that part of the warning to expire. So now we are left with the folks up in Jonesboro, Craighead County dealing with that storm, and we're left with this cell that showing some pretty decent rotation still in portions of Tate County. This is moving out of Panola County. So if you're in Panola County, it looks like the rotation has crossed the county line, and you should be all good now, at least for this little area of rotation. I'll circle it for you so you can get a better idea. This is just to the east of Senatobia, so it is moving out of Panola County. So Batesville, you're fine. Southern Panola County, you're fine right now. You're good to go. You're all clear for now. But if you are in the Crossroads community, this is moving through there. State Highway 4, the Bar community, Senatobia Lakes. This is the east side of Senatobia as you cross over I-55. So some other roads that are being impacted right now. Let me show you that real quick. This is Gravel Springs Road, also Partee Road. So those are some of the roads. State Highway 4, it's going to cross over there, and eventually it is going to push just to the west of Aiken up toward the Bett community. So if you were in any of these areas of eastern Tate County, this is eastern Tate County into southeastern parts of DeSoto County, this cell definitely has signs of rotation, and maybe there could be a tornado. So that's what we're watching right now. As far as the only warning within the WMC Action News 5 viewing area, it is this one. The rest of the area is warning free at this point. Let's take a look at the radar, and you can see you go up to Jonesboro to Craighead County. We've got the warning there for the folks up there, and we've also got this warning here in portions of Tate and DeSoto County. Let me look at the velocity one more time at some of these storms coming into Shelby County, and there is some signs of weak rotation in Shelby County, but nothing too concerning at this time. I think the main area, the main concern is this area in Senatobia. Let me put a quick track on this and give you an idea of some of the other areas that will be impacted. I'm going to zoom in a little bit tighter, and let me do this one more time and clear this off. I want to zoom in tighter, and I'm going to tilt the screen so that you can get a better idea of some of the areas being impacted. And let's go ahead and put the track on this. This is moving pretty quickly at about 40 to 45 miles per hour, and we'll move that to the north and east. So if you're in Polkville, 3 minutes, Independence, 5 minutes. I'm actually going to switch this up, 17 minutes in Watson, and as I adjust the track just a little bit, you can get a better idea of some of the other communities, and I'm going to extend it out about 40 minutes. And so there's some of the other communities added to it. Wall Hill, Rock Hill in the next 8 to 10 minutes. Ingram's Mill in 16 minutes. So any of those areas, if you live within any of those communities, all the way up to 269 and I-22, go ahead and take your tornado precautions now, just in case. Again, this would be a quick spin-up tornado. These are not going to be large, long-track tornadoes like you would see in the springtime. These would be more of the tropical nature. Typically, these are weak, maybe up to EF1. Sometimes they can be an EF2 tornado, but for the most part, these are on the lower scale, but they can still still do damage, they can still cause damage to property, and they can still be life-threatening. So you want to take and that's why we're with you tonight, because these storms have the potential to do damage or to cause threat to life and property. And we want to make sure everyone is safe tonight as these storms roll through. Ron?
Yeah, and Spencer, these storms, let me reiterate one thing. We've had no reports of damage tonight other than some trees down in Poinsett County, and that was from earlier this afternoon. There was visual confirmation from a trained storm spotter in that area of a tornado, but of all the other warnings, there have been no visual confirmations. There have been some significant signatures on radar, nothing that exceeds a 7 on our BTI, our Barron Tornado Indicator, here on our equipment. And in most instances, we've seen rotation that's not even really registering in the way of significant rotation. However, there's some strong wind in here, some very strong wind in here. And this is all part of a band of tropical moisture moving through the area at a pretty good speed with a lot of shear, a lot of rotation in the environment, so it can produce a tornado quickly and with little to no warning. So that's why we're with you tonight. That's why we're watching this closely. But I am encouraged by what we have seen in and around the area. There have been a number of tornado warnings, but when you couple that with reports of damage or injuries, we just haven't had that tonight. So that is very good news. I do believe there was a barn that was damaged, or a building or business that was damaged in Phillips County as a result of winds that moved through there. But notice Phillips County is pretty much in the clear. A little more activity may still develop because we've got the low that's still to our west that's rapidly moving to the north. These are the active warnings we have in place right now. Jonesboro under a tornado warning at this time. We've got this warning. And how long does that go till, Spencer? Is that till 9 o'clock tonight?
Yes.
That is until 9 p.m. We want to watch what is moving through the Memphis metro. No active warnings for what is moving through Memphis, but a look from our high five camera here in Midtown. Let me show you what's coming down here in Midtown right now. Brian, if you can pop that camera up for me, and let's take a look at the rain that's moving on through. At one point, that camera was shimmying pretty good as a result of the wind. It's located on a tower just out back from our studios here at 1960 Union Avenue, about 200 feet up in the air. So we are not seeing anything in the way of significant shimmy with the camera. That's good. At 8 o'clock this evening, or about 7 o'clock, I do believe, the National Weather Service office at the airport reported a 40-mile-an-hour wind gust, but that's what we're not seeing anything there. So I am encouraged by what's moving through the city right now because it's just rain and some windy conditions, but now Spencer's got something new.
Yeah, we just got a report of possible damage in Tunica, Pritchard and Flag Road, and there was a tree down on a house. We also have trees down in other areas, and I believe there was some power lines down as well. So that storm that we were watching in Tunica has produced damage.
Okay.
So we're getting at least wind damage. It could have been a tornado, it could have been straight line winds, but there was definitely some wind within that cell that we were tracking long before they issued a warning for it.
Yeah, so, okay, so that is what we have, let's get a crew out there if we can, if our folks at the news desk are watching. Tunica County, reports of damage there. Maybe we can get you some pictures or images soon on that. Right now, we've got that one tornado warning. Yeah, Joyce.
Looking at the Energy Mississippi site for outages, Tunica County has 15 outages reported right now, not a lot. Tate County, which you were both just talking about, Tate County has the most outages in the entire state right now, per county, per Energy Mississippi, and that's 1,349 customers without power in Tate. So
wow.
Tate showing the biggest issues there with power. MLGW very quickly went up to 6,800 customers without power, then came back down to 4,800. They got the circuit going again. So we are at 4,800 as this storm moves through the metro area.
Energy Arkansas, Joyce?
Energy Mississippi. You want me to check Arkansas now?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Because that's where the bulk of the activity has been this afternoon and evening in eastern Arkansas. And I know there were some significant power outages there earlier. Interesting to see where they stand right now.
Energy Arkansas has been doing some work. We're down from 46,000 customers without power to 38,900 customers statewide. Again, most of these are in the southern part of Arkansas and the western portion. Little Rock, North Little Rock hit particularly hard, flooding in those areas. I don't see any of the counties in the WMC Action News 5 viewing area with huge numbers. Lee County, which had several tornado warnings tonight, 54 customers without power, according to Energy Arkansas. Phillips County, let me check, 181 outages. That's the highest it's been all night. Point Set, 194 outages. And then we had St. Francis with 35. So not huge numbers, even though those counties had several tornado warnings issued tonight.
That Tate County number is just mind-boggling.
It's high. 1,348. Yeah.
Wow. In that, and you can see that little red highlighted area. Can we zoom into that? You see that on the whoever's controlling the map in the control room? There we go. That's Tate County, south of Olive Branch. You can see where it's really confined to that one cluster there to the east of 55, right there at the Tate Marshall County border, it looks like. So that's really impacting a pretty significant community there. And then on the north side of Arcabutla Lake, the east side, northern portion of Arcabutla Lake, it looks like a pretty good number of customers without power there. So Tate County tonight really taking a hit. Rain's coming down heavier in Midtown. Let's go back to that Midtown camera. Let me take a look at that. Let's show you what's going on there. And the heavy, just moments ago, we could see Union Avenue. Now it's barely visible right there on the bottom right side of your screen. We still have the active tornado warning right now in DeSoto County. Let me go to our First Alert Doppler 5 radar. Here it is. One active tornado warning. I do believe that's the only active tornado warning. Am I right? We've got one in Craighead County, but the one in the Action News 5 coverage area that still remains is for that cell that is moving through Tate County right now. And this is where we've had the power outages tonight. So we've got the tornado warning for DeSoto, Marshall, and Tate County. That's going to go until 9 o'clock tonight. And that really along and east of Interstate 55. That's where we're seeing those power outages. Let's clear that off. Let's take a look at the scope, see what type of wind we're seeing in there. Any significant rotation. There's some pretty good, at the very least, I think, some straight line wind possibly within that. Maybe some microburst or some straight line wind in that. I'm going to put a little track on these two areas. First, this one. Let's track that north, and I'm going to do that one more time. Bear with me 1 second, because I want to put this back on it. Let's take a look at that scope. There we go. These are the areas. We've got really three distinct areas. This one, and this one. And they're kind of moving to the, you see them moving off to the northwest. Let's see if I can pan this down just a little bit. Give you a better view of where that may be going in the next few minutes. Now let's put a track on this portion of that cell. We'll track that off to the northwest. So Palestine School, it's right there right now. Alfaba, in 4 minutes, it'll get into Matt's school area in about 6 minutes, 7 minutes from Greenleaf Church, 15 minutes before it gets into Center Point School. We've got this other area of activity. That too is moving to the north and east, or north and west. Let's see if I can track it again in this direction, in that manner. There we go. A minute away from Bright, Enron Spring School, a minute away, Mount Olive Church It's about 7 minutes away from driver's number 1 school, 9 minutes. Jago in 14 minutes. New Hope School, 14 minutes. Tanger Outlet, South Haven, so it's moving near the Tanger Outlet Mall. It's about 14 minutes away from there, and that is that area of potential rotation, the strongest wind within that. Taking a look at the shear on this, or where we may see some potential rotation. Looks like there's a little bit that is just to the north of 69 right there. You can see a couple of little areas either side of Hernando. We saw that sweeping wind, rain coming through Hernando just moments ago from the MDOT camera in that area. Some pretty good shear. This is where the power outage was, the significant power outage was in Tate County, and it looks like some pretty strong wind came through there, likely taking out power, and that was probably the case for northwestern or northeastern Panola County, north of Sardis Lake. But that is an area where we saw a significant number of power outages. So there was definitely some wind that came through there. Taking a look at the big picture here. Let me zoom out just a little bit, and we'll look at the entire coverage area. And we're looking for these little blue swaths, and look, right now from Cross County through Poinsett County, get around Craighead County, that's where the concentration is at this time. And that's really where all of the big storms have been throughout the afternoon and evening. So here we are now at 8:49. We've got one active warning that will expire at 9 o'clock. Oh, now a new warning that just popped up. Here we go. That's for Mississippi County now. Brand new tornado warning. That is likely going to go, that's going to go until 9:30 tonight. So brand new tornado warning for Poinsett County, or for Mississippi County. Let me zoom in just a little tighter. Let's take a look at that area. And that warning that is just fired up. We've got the warning for Craighead County. Now this area, oh, Spencer, you know what? Let's go over to, let me take your radar. You've got the shear right there around north of Tyronza, south of Lepanto. That is pretty significant. Are we getting a BTI on that?
Not yet.
Not yet?
No.
Nothing yet. But that is, there's definitely some strong wind there. At the very least, I would think that's an area of straight line wind. There's got to be some wind damage coming through there. North of Mark Tree. Mark Tree, you are to the east of it. It's moving off. So you're looking at about 60 to 70 miles per hour of shear wind with that. So that's pretty strong. Look at that, about 70 miles per hour, close to 80 miles per hour in the right there in the mid levels of that storm as it's hitting it. And that's certainly what our radar is indicating, some pretty good rotation and shear in that area. And that's a pretty significant swath that extended all the way from that. It really developed north of Turl, Arkansas. That happened quickly. We were watching that area a little while ago, not a lot there, and that ramped up very fast. So there is a considerable amount of energy that's still left in the atmosphere from south of Lepanto, southwest of Dyess, Arkansas, north of Tyronza. Tyronza, even though you're in the tornado-warned polygon, I don't think you are in danger at this time as that's moving away from you north, really northeast, northwest. So those are the communities that are going to be impacted by that within the next few minutes. Tracking it at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. That'll put that in Lepanto in a minute. It'll get into Riverdale in 6 minutes, 15 minutes from Caraway, and Milligan Ridge in about 19 minutes. So the warning itself goes until 9:30 tonight. That's what we're looking at there in Mississippi County. That is, that just popped up. That's pretty significant. Let me go back, take a look at the big picture once again. So northeastern Arkansas continues to be a hot zone, and I think we'll likely see that continue into the remainder of the evening hours from now until about 11, possibly as late as 12 o'clock tonight. I still want to watch this area right here. We still have that warning for another 8 minutes, but I am encouraged by the fact that I'm not seeing anything a little more significant developing along that. Let's look at the National Weather Service radar, the NEXRAD radar, and it's showing pretty much what our radar is showing. Whoops, let me clear that out of there. I'm going to zoom in, clear that out, get that track off there. But this is what the NEXRAD radar is showing. There's the heavy rain. We can hear it on the rooftop here at our studios at 1960 Union Avenue, and there's very heavy rain along and east of Interstate 55 from Tate County on through DeSoto County. Olive Branch getting some very heavy rain right now. And it looks like there's some pretty good wind that's coming in right around Arlington and Lakeland. Let me see. Even though there's not much of anything in the way of precipitation there, look at that wind. It's right there. There's some very strong wind. That's going to be moving east towards Bartlett, and that will move north into Raleigh. Fraser, you're going to get clipped by that also. But back to the big picture one more time. We've got this tornado warning right now. That is for Mississippi, Craighead, and eastern Poinsett County. That is in place now until 9:30 tonight. National Weather Service radar showing a pretty good little couplet that had developed there, and it is still showing up right there. Looks like it is just to the south of Lepanto. It's about to come on through Lepanto. Yeah, it's to the south of Lepanto. Let's put another track on this. Here we go. Move that. And it's kind of moving to the north for the most part. So Lepanto Elementary School, about 4 minutes away. Looks like it'll be in Lepanto, the town, in about 5 minutes. And we'll see it get into Donick in about 7 minutes. So those are some of the communities in the path of this possible tornado. Spencer, you've got a better view and you've got the BTI on it too. What's it looking like over there?
It looks like it's around 3.5, so on a scale of 1 to 10, it's still on the lower side, but still concerning because there's some pretty tight rotation with this. When I zoom into it, I'll turn this off. When you start to look at this, and let me turn the actual track off there for a second. When you start to see the red really, really close to the green, that's a good indication that that rotation is pretty tight and it's not broad. And by that I mean that means there could be something spinning close together there, and that's what tornadoes do. The wind is very close, very tight. And that's a fairly tight little couplet, and that's when I see those with tropical systems, that's when I start to get a little more concerned that something may be at least trying to reach the ground. Now, again, this is radar indicated, but we have had a couple of spotters, or at least one spotter tonight, saying that, hey, you know, I saw one in parts of Mississippi, in North Mississippi and eastern Arkansas. We've seen several reports of at least some wind damage. So here's a look at the latest with this. Again, we've got 48-mile-per-hour winds. That's wind going away from the radar. And then we've got 20-mile-per-hour winds going towards. So that produces a circulation, which could be a possible tornado. And again, that's just to the north and west of Lepanto. This is right along State Highway 14. So if you're in the area of State Highway 14 there, Dick King Road down toward Adamson, just to the north of Adamson Road, you need to be in your safe spot right now. And again, if you're in areas north of this, and Ron was talking about it, if you're in Caraway and Milligan Ridge, Lake City, this rotation is moving your direction. I'll turn that skit back on. Let's see if it's still there. It looks like it's gone away for the moment. Let me, but it still looks, I still see the rotation there very well. And the way that looks on the radar, you definitely need to stay in your safe place until it passes. Let me turn the reflectivity back on. And again, they're hard to spot. This isn't like a springtime storm where you can spot the hook on the radar itself, on the actual reflectivity. You have to look really close at the wind parameter part of this storm, and that's what we're looking at right now. Let me look at the shear rate, and again, when we see red on this rotation detection, that's kind of a small sign that there might be something there. So we'll have to watch that. And there's also been some signs of rotation with that cell. We're also watching this cell down here to the south. So two different ones that we're monitoring right now: Mississippi, eastern Craighead, eastern Poinsett, and then down into eastern Tate, southeastern DeSoto, and western parts of Marshall County.
Spencer, let me show you the big picture here on the First Alert Doppler 5 radar, and that's the band. This is our trouble zone right here. This is moving to the north and to the east, so we could see activity spread into West Tennessee along and south of I-40. So folks that are in Fayette County, I want you to be prepared for the potential for some heavy rain, possibility for some isolated tornadoes to develop. We can't rule it out for Shelby County. We're not out of the woods yet until that lifts out. But we've also got Tipton County, Lauderdale County, and you could also experience this as well. Right now, northeast Mississippi is the hot zone, but let me show you this. We've got a tornado watch that's now extended till 11 o'clock. It was originally until 9, but it is for Shelby, Tipton and Lauderdale counties in West Tennessee, but now it's expanded a little farther east to include Lafayette County and Marshall County in the Action News 5 coverage area, and all the counties that are along 55 and to the west, although I think we're in much better shape for Tunica, Coahoma, Quitman. Once this cell moves out of Panola and Tate, you should be in pretty good shape. DeSoto as well. But eastern Arkansas also remaining under a tornado watch until 11 o'clock tonight. Then flooding, also a major concern. Spencer was looking at this earlier, the rainfall rates that were coming down at about 6 inches per hour. All that tropical moisture just being squeezed out of the atmosphere right now in the form of very heavy rainfall. So we are looking at the tornado threat, the flash flooding threat, and then just wind gust of 35, 40, 45 miles per hour in the area, non-severe thunderstorm related, but just wind gusts as this low pressure center to our west gets a little closer. So all of these three factors coming into play tonight, and that's what's creating the issues we're dealing with right now. But most importantly, and the thing that has us most concerned, tornado warning that is now expired for that's good news. So they expired the tornado warning for Tate and DeSoto County, but look what has replaced it. A flash flood warning, I do believe. Let me throw the information tool up here and let's take a look at this, because right there along 55 from Panola County through DeSoto, even into Shelby County, southern Shelby County, under a flash flood warning. That is going to go until midnight tonight. We've got flash flood warnings for areas that are no longer dealing with precipitation. Cross, Lee, St. Francis, flash flood warning for you until 10 o'clock tonight. But we have one active tornado warning right now. That is going to go until 9:30 tonight. That is for Craighead, Mississippi, Poinsett counties. That is going to be in place again until 9:30. So that's what we're looking at there. That's a look at the activity we're dealing with. One active tornado warning. We have had our hopes up earlier with no tornado warnings for what, Spencer, a span of about 5 minutes or so, only to see additional warnings issued. So we want to continue to watch the area and really this area right here. I want to watch Shelby County as that migrates to the north and to the east. We could see some activity developing there. It looks like what is moving into Lafayette County is benign for the most part. We've still got a lot of activity here, but that is lifting to the north, which is probably going to take that into the Missouri boot heel within the next hour or so. But I am encouraged by the fact that we're not seeing anything more than some light rain moving through the area. But this all, again, still looping around an area of low pressure, remnants of Laura still back into Arkansas, moving through the Action News 5 coverage area. So one active warning right now. This is for Mississippi County. That is going to go until 9:30 tonight. northwestern or northeastern Poinsett County included in this, as well as western Craighead County. Let's take a look at our scope once again. Let's see if we can see anything significant from this. And I really see that area right there. This little area that's right here. I think that's where we're dealing with some rotation at best. And it really doesn't look that impressive, although the BTI on that was very low a little while ago. It was about a 3.5. But there is still some rotation within that. And I think the possibility of seeing that continue, we can't completely rule it out. So let's take a look. Let's put a track on this because this is going to kind of move. I keep hitting draw instead of track. Let's put this in this direction like this and take it like that. That's Truman, you're about 2 minutes away. We're going to see that move into Doble in about 3 minutes, Lunsford 5 minutes away, into Davis Spur 10 minutes. It'll get into Gunpoint in about 11 minutes. Bay High School right around 15 minutes away. You're around 16 minutes before it moves into Needham and about 20 minutes before it gets into Phillips. Now, this is also going to progress a little to the north as well. So some other communities that could be impacted by this include Bunny in 4 minutes, Fairfield Christian Union Church in about 5 minutes, 7 minutes from Steyr, Degelo in about 8 minutes, St. Francis Sunken Land State in about 8 minutes, and we'll see it get into Riverside Junior High School area, 11 minutes away, about 12 minutes from Black Oak, 13 minutes from Caraway. So that's what we're looking at with that cell. Again, back to the big picture, flood warnings right now. Zooming in, taking a closer look at the Memphis Metro, city of Memphis and Shelby County. Heavy rainfall, and it's coming down pretty good. As a matter of fact, we're seeing rainfall rates near Fraser. Look at this, 3.5 inches per hour. That is absolutely incredible. That is some tremendous rainfall right there around the Watkins exit, coming down at just under 2.5 inches per hour. Right around Highway 69, it's just over 4 inches per hour. That's a lot of rain. So the potential for additional flooding inside the city, right around Memphis, Shelby County, inside the 240 loop, pretty significant tonight. So if you had planned to venture out later on tonight, I advise you to just ride this out, stay home, let this pass through. We've still got a windy night to get through, and we can't rule out the potential for more activity developing, especially during the overnight hours. But right now, as this moves to the north, that should take most of this out of the area within the next few minutes. And I do believe they scaled back on this polygon just a bit. Let me see, take a zoom in. So yeah, a little bit of that polygon has now encompassed more of western Craighead County, only a very small portion of Poinsett County. We've got Mississippi County still included in this, but I think overall you're in pretty good shape there. Spencer, you seeing anything that maybe I'm not catching or looking at as far as intensity goes on that?
Yeah, it looks like it's still just heavy rain and also that threat for the possible rotation in portions of northeastern Arkansas. And that's what I'm watching right now on our radar, as Ron has been mentioning. Again, heavy rain along I-55. This is along portions of Shelby County into parts of DeSoto County as well. So those are the areas we're continuing to keep an eye on at this time. But I'm not seeing really much in the way of anything else that's too concerning at this point. But if you are in that portion, and I'm going to zoom out just a little bit and pull this down, and if you're in that part of the area, you're certainly going to deal with that potential for heavy rain in northeastern Arkansas. So this warning goes until 9:30. So we've got about about 20 or so more minutes for this warning to continue. Heavy rain again extending along and north of Highway 51. The rotation with this looks a little less. It doesn't look as ominous as it was earlier. We have a few lightning strikes, about 12 with this, but the heavy rain and storms that's moving through Shelby County right now, if you're in Shelby County and you're wondering, are we under a tornado threat here? It doesn't look like much of a threat at this point. It looks like more of a just really heavy rain and some gusty wind as well. So we'll continue to watch those areas as this lifts off to the north and to the east.